Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night, and we've got a lot to talk about. I haven't had a chance to update you on these Knicks, Pacers, and Nuggets versus Timberwolves series since game 2 of each of them wrapped up. I've just been really busy every other day like these series have been airing. I finally got some time, and there's a lot to go ahead and get into, beginning with this Nuggets-Timberwolves matchup, because the first two games were shocking. Now, game 1 wasn't shocking. It was a close back-and-forth game where the Timberwolves ended up winning. They were a lot of people's pick to win the series, and them stealing a game in Denver definitely was not out of the question. But following that up with a game 2 blowout of the reigning champions on their home court definitely was shocking, especially when you consider that that game was without Rudy Gobert, as he and his wife were having a child. So it was suddenly 2-0 in favor of the Timberwolves going back home, with the Nuggets looking completely lost. It had been the first time we had seen that this team was kind of thrown out of their usual comfort zone. They didn't seem as cohesive as they normally are. Jamal Murray, his calf was very clearly bothering him. Reggie Jackson was banged up as well. Jokic was trying his best, but wasn't even having his best performances, turning the ball over a lot. They were suddenly falling apart. And heading into game 3, there were a lot of people saying that this whole thing was over. There were a bunch of people on my Twitter timeline trying to say that, oh, the Nuggets were never actually that good. They've never beaten a 50-plus win team in the playoffs, which is disingenuous because they would have if we played out the full regular season back in 2020. But regardless, people were pretty down on the Nuggets. And then game 3 annihilated the Minnesota Timberwolves. They went out there and made a statement of their own, just basically flipping the script from game 2 to game 3, this time in Minnesota. And last night in game 4, the Nuggets again showed up. They actually looked like the reigning champions they're supposed to be, and basically said, we're not going anywhere quite yet. It started off promising for Minnesota. They built out a 7-point lead in the first quarter. We're trying to keep their foot on the gas. And then the Nuggets responded by the end of the first and took their own lead, a lead that they would hold the rest of the night. There was a single lead change in the entire game, and the Nuggets led the second half by double digits for a majority of the period. In the end, they ended up winning 115-107. Timberwolves brought it back a little bit towards the end, but it was too little too late, and the reigning champs tied things up 2-2. They're not dead in the water like people thought they were, and I believe it's only like the 8th time, something around that the road team has won the first 4 games of a playoff series. It's been an extremely weird matchup so far, but one that has kind of gone as expected in a weird way, because I think everybody thought this would be at least a 6, if not 7-game series. I just didn't expect the games to be quite split like this. For Minnesota, the problem has once again arisen that Anthony Edwards is the only one giving them consistent production, because in this game, he was unbelievable. I mean, he's making a case for a top 10 player in the world, a superstar title, had 44 points in this one, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, a block, 64% shooting, 62.5% from 3. He could not miss if he tried, not to mention great defense. Ant is one of the best two-way players on the planet. He's doing everything possible to try and will this Minnesota team to a victory. He scored 44 of their 107 points. There just wasn't much offense going on beyond him, specifically Karl-Anthony Towns, who has been really inconsistent in the past in his playoff career, has once again shown that inconsistency. Just 13 points in this one, 12 boards, 3 assists, shot an abysmal 5 of 18, some really bad shot selection in general. I do appreciate him trying to stay aggressive and not just fading into the background, because that would have been a bigger disaster, but they need way more from Karl-Anthony Towns. They're paying him $50 million to be this second scoring option. He has to be a lot better than this, especially when you're going up against a team like the Nuggets. You have to try and step on their throat. You can't give them any hope, any room to try and bring this series back like they already have. And it wasn't just individual performances too. Like, there were key moments in this game where the Wolves just fell apart. Specifically, one that comes to mind is at the end of the first half, when the Wolves were able to bring it back to about an 8-point game, and it looked like, hey, they might find a way to make this one kind of interesting. They got within single digits. And then they had one of the worst ends to a quarter I've ever seen. Anthony Edwards had the ball, shot clocks off. They should have the final shot. He ends up turning it over. They get a fast break dunk. They try inbounding the ball. Jamal Murray steals it, hits a half-court shot, an immediate 5-point swing. And overall, it was an 8-0 swing within the last 40 seconds of the quarter, because KCP got a 3 on the other end as well. Just an abysmal end. You can't have moments like that. It's stuff that has plagued the Timberwolves at times, where they have just fallen apart. They've lacked execution. They've turned the ball over a lot. They did that a lot tonight as well towards the end of the game. Like, Rudy Gobert had one moment where he tried to post up Jokic and got the chair pulled and just traveled, turning the ball over. He had 5 turnovers on the night. A lot of the same problems we saw from Minnesota in the regular season showing up again here in the past couple of games. They have to fix these immediately. Going into game 5 in Denver, you have to try and steal that one going down 3-2 with the Nuggets still having a home game left, and showing a clear ability to beat you on your home court is a very bad spot to be in. They have really fallen off from the team they look like in the first 2 games. And it's not all the Timberwolves just failing, it's also the Nuggets kind of refining who they are. Nikola Jokic, again, over the past couple games has looked like the best player in the world. 35 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a block. 15 of 26 shooting from the floor. Was only 1 of 5 from 3. Not that that mattered. I swore everything he put up in the paint was going in, whether it was a little running push shot, it was a hook, it was backing down Rudy Gobert, the depoy, and just finishing right over him, whether it was Naz Reid, a turnaround jumper. Jokic was unstoppable. And of course, the playmaking was there too, because they started to send a lot of pressure. The Timberwolves were just terrified of Jokic taking any shot, and he played that into his advantage. He would turn around as if he were going to shoot a jumper or like a little floater, and then swing it on the inside to Aaron Gordon, who was usually down low, and he was unbelievable in this game. Really over the past two, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks on 11 of 12 shooting. He made, I think, his first 10 or 11 shots in this game, 2 of 2 from the outside as well, hitting mid-range jumpers, cutting inside, really being used a bit more like a wing in this game than the pseudo-big they've used him like as times, and that was a nice wrinkle to add to this. It made them a lot harder to predict and made them a much more dynamic offense against this great Timberwolves defense. Jamal Murray too, insane stuff from him. Over the past 2 games, he's looked way better. I don't know what the medical team did or if he just finally kind of got a bit healthier, but Jamal Murray's burst and just overall aggressiveness feels a lot better in these games. He's not forcing as many shots, he's getting to his spots, and even if you play great defense, it may not matter. Like Jaden McDaniels had 1 possession in this game where it looked like he had Jamal Murray completely clamped up. It was going to be a wasted possession or a shot clock violation, and Jamal Murray somehow hits a jumper over his outstretched arm. Just insane stuff from him. 19 points, 8 assists, 8 of 7 shooting. And yeah, also got 2 of 4 from Michael Porter Jr. Didn't play much down the stretch. Didn't really need him to do a lot. Christian Brown, really good in this game. 11 points, 3 of 4 shooting. 3 of 6 from Justin Holiday. All 3 of those shots being threes. 2 of 4 from Reggie Jackson. Everybody produced. It was a great Nuggets effort. The defense was great on everybody. Anthony Edwards was still making buckets happen, even though there was great defense being played. But overall, I thought this was a great effort from them on both ends. And once again, they're back. They look like the reigning champions. The team that most people picked to repeat coming into the season, the team that people picked to win the championship coming into the playoffs themselves. The Nuggets look really, really good. I was someone who never gave up on this team. The series didn't feel over after they went down 2-0, although Minnesota was clearly in the driver's seat. I just never want to count out the best player in the world and a team that has shown time and time again that they always have an answer. At least they have so far over the past year and a half. We'll see if Minnesota can bounce back, but for the moment, the Nuggets look really, really good. This is the well-oiled machine, the team that I called in your perfect team in a video a couple of months ago. When they're clicking the way that they were in this game and did in game 3, it's basically impossible to stop them. It doesn't really matter what you do. Chris Finch and that whole Timberwolves coaching staff really have their work cut out for them. They also just need somebody other than Anthony Edwards to do literally anything. He can put up some of the greatest stat lines you've seen every single night. It's not going to matter if Cat, Gobert, Conley, all these other guys aren't producing the way that they need them to. And then in the game before this, we had Pacers versus Knicks, which was a slaughter. The Pacers went ahead and got a close win in game 3 after Nembhard hit that big shot, and in game 4, just annihilated the Knicks. 32-point win for them at home to tie the series up 2-2 going back to MSG. They've got a lot of momentum. Tyrese is looking a lot better, a lot more comfortable than he has over a lot of this second half of the season post that injury. He had 20 points in this one, hit 4 threes, 6 rebounds, 5 dimes, was really good in game 3 as well. 14 from Siakam on near perfect shooting. You had 13 from Myles Turner on perfect shooting, 14 from Obi Toppin, 15 from TJ McConnell, 10 from Isaiah Jackson. Played basically everybody in this game but James Johnson. The crowd chanted for him to actually come in the game, but he's like, nah, I'm okay. They are just looking really good at the moment. They've kind of found their stride, and for the Knicks, they're starting to fall apart. They just don't have bodies to really throw out there anymore. I mean, Jalen Brunson, who's been superhuman in these playoffs, is starting to come back down to earth. He just looks really battered. He doesn't really have the same burst. He's not getting to his spots as easily. You can tell he's hurting a lot, and that's on top of OG Anunoby being hurt. He didn't play in this game. We don't know when he's actually going to be back. If he's going to be back at all for this series, is still going through some light work at the moment, and without him, their defense completely falls apart. He is such a game changer on that end. Like, there were so many wide open threes the Pacers were getting tonight. It wasn't even funny. Then you have like Josh Hart, who was pretty rough in this one, played just 23 minutes. I mean, I'm sure his legs were exhausted. Precious Achiuwa has to start because of the OG injury. Isaiah Hartenstein is having to play a bunch of minutes because no Mitchell Robinson. Of course, no Julius Randle this entire run. They are just a completely beat up team at this point. It sucks because I really think if the Knicks had everyone healthy, they would be easily the biggest threat to the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference. And going into next year, even if they end up losing the series, which it's not over yet, I think they can still win. I've seen the Knicks do insane stuff continuously. But even going into next season, I think Knicks fans should feel pretty good with how much they've done up to this point despite all the injuries. It's just really unfortunate because if they're healthy, maybe this is the year they could push for the finals with how good they look despite all the injuries up until as of late. But yeah, with all that being said, those are my thoughts on these games. Let me know down below in the comments what your takeaways were. Who do you have winning each of these series and in how many games? I appreciate you all watching. Leave a like and subscribe. With all that being said, those are my takeaways for these games. Let me know down below in the comments what yours are. Who do you have winning each of these series and in how many games? And do you think the Pacers or Knicks, either one of them, stand a chance against the Celtics, or do you think it's just kind of a wash? I appreciate you watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. I'll see y'all later. Real One Safe back.